Workers, firms, banks, and even other groups of people all have a great deal of interest in expected inflation. The reason for this is because it affects things like real wages and real interest rates. So even if nominal wages or nominal interest rates don't change, the real purchasing power of money will. So this is going to affect employers, employees, borrowers, savers. Let's think of one quick example. If I'm an employee, I don't necessarily care just about how much I am getting paid nominally. I care about how much the dollars I'm getting paid can actually purchase in goods and services, because that's what affects my standard of living. So if I expect a 5% inflation rate next year, I will also want a 5% raise. And then that way, I'll be able to maintain my standard of living. As far as what do people base these expectations off of, well, there are several different things. We can look in the past and we can see what has inflation averaged over the last several years. If we're in a recession, we may look and say, okay, in the last several recessions, what has been the average rate of inflation? Or if we're in an expansion, over the last several expansions, then what has been the average rate of inflation? We can also look at things like what the Fed's outlook is. So the Fed may predict 3% inflation next year, or the Fed may have a stated goal of how much they want inflation to be. They may say, we want inflation to be 2% a year. And in that case, most people would expect 2% a year in inflation. And it is absolutely true that current conditions are going to affect people's expectations. If, for instance, we're in a year where maybe we're only halfway through the year, it's June or July, and there's already been very strong inflationary pressures in the economy, that will change people's expectations. People will think that the Fed maybe doesn't have a good handle over inflation right now, and they will expect high inflation for the rest of the year.